I think in construction, there's so much firefighting that's going on. Like, we shouldn't be like that. We should properly pre-plan, and you're constantly just working, around the clock. And when you do that, you do miss out on, taking a, 30,000 foot view of that project and understanding or even looking at what are some technologies that can help. That's definitely one challenge, but particularly with construction, there's been a lot of really, really interesting startups that have come out that are trying to solve problems around, how do we be more efficient on procurement or speed up the whole like design decision making process, right? So these are all problems that I think are still very much evident in our industry. But the challenge with that is like you can build, the best collaboration software, but it fundamentally comes down to the way that our industry and our supply chain is set up, where, it is a culture of lack of transparency. I recently heard this term is like mystery is margin. We are very much that, as much as we don't want to say it or admit it. And if we're not, and even on some of these, IPD or more collaborative contracts, like everyone is still kind of thinking for themselves because at the end of the day, like they have to make money for their company.
Oh, yeah.
And along this entire supply chain, it's like pricing transparency. And along this entire supply chain, it's like pricing transparency like doesn't really work because people are not incentivized to do that, right? So I think there's a whole kind of game of how do you find the right incentives? And especially when it comes to technology, trying to solve these big problems within a supply chain, just the incentives may never align. And that technology is really not going to be helpful until we change either contracting methods, like doesn't really work because people are not incentivized to do that, right? So I think there's a whole kind of game of, how do you find the right incentives